It was supposed to be just another quiet afternoon at the local downtown bank. The hum of soft music and the gentle tapping of shoes against the polished floor created an air of normalcy until the tension in the room thickened. That's when an elderly black woman, frail but dignified, stepped up to the counter with a worn leather purse and a lifetime's worth of grace. What followed, however, would shatter that calm and remind everyone watching that kindness still has power and that one man's courage can change the course of someone else's day, maybe even their life. Her name was Miss Lillian Carter, 78 years old, a retired school teacher who had spent over 3 decades shaping young minds in her community. She had come to the bank that day to withdraw part of her pension check, something she had done countless times before, but this time, things went differently. The young teller on duty, visibly impatient, began questioning her identity, doubting the authenticity of her ID, and even implying that her check might be fraudulent. "Ma'am, this doesn't look valid," the teller said curtly, waving her identification card dismissively. "Do you even have an account here?" The line behind Miss Carter grew restless. A few people sighed loudly. One man rolled his eyes. The elderly woman's hands trembled as she tried to explain. Her voice cracked, not just from age, but from the sting of humiliation. "I've been banking here for over 20 years, dear," she said softly, forcing a polite smile that barely concealed her hurt. "I just want to withdraw what's mine." Instead of helping her, the teller called over the manager, who scrutinized her papers like a detective reviewing evidence. The murmurs in the background grew louder, the air heavier. Miss Carter's dignity, something she'd spent a lifetime preserving through hard work and quiet strength, was being stripped away in public view. And that's when John Kennedy stepped in. John was standing 3 people back in line, an ordinary man in his mid-40s, dressed in jeans and a worn leather jacket. He had come to the bank to deposit a check from his small construction business. But as he watched the scene unfold, something inside him snapped. He saw not just an elderly woman being humiliated, he saw his own mother, his grandmother, every elder who had fought through years of struggle and still managed to carry themselves with pride. Without hesitation, John walked straight up to the counter. "Excuse me," he said, his voice firm but respectful. "What exactly seems to be the problem here?" The teller looked startled. "Sir, please step back. This is a private matter." "Not anymore," John replied. "You're embarrassing this woman in front of everyone, and I won't stand by and watch it happen." The room fell silent. Everyone watched as John stood beside Miss Carter, gently placing his hand on the counter next to hers. "I know this woman," he said, bluffing with conviction. "She's a respected teacher in this community." "You don't talk to her like that." The bank manager blinked, suddenly unsure. The tension broke when another customer spoke up. "Yeah, I know her too. Miss Carter taught my kids at Jefferson Elementary." One by one, others began to murmur in agreement. Voices that had once been silent out of discomfort were now speaking up. Under the weight of public pressure, the teller's demeanor changed. She rechecked the documents, called the verification line, and within minutes, it was confirmed. Everything was in perfect order. Miss Carter's account was valid, her ID was fine, and her check was legitimate. The teller's face flushed red. "A broken bar." "I'm sorry, ma'am," she stammered. But Miss Carter, ever the teacher, responded not with anger but with grace. "It's all right, dear," she said softly, taking her money. "Just remember, respect should never depend on the color of someone's skin or the age of their hands." John walked her out of the bank, offering his arm to steady her. Outside, under the soft autumn sunlight, Miss Carter turned to him with tears glistening in her eyes. "Thank you, son," she said quietly. "People don't always stand up anymore." "But you did." John smiled. "Ma'am, you stood up for so many of us for years, teaching, caring, showing up." "Today was just my turn." Word of the incident spread quickly. A bystander who filmed the encounter posted it online, and within hours, the video went viral. Thousands praised John for his courage and empathy, while others reflected on how easily prejudice can surface in the most ordinary of places. The bank later issued a formal apology to Miss Carter, and even offered her lifetime premium service. But what mattered most to her was the reminder that compassion still existed in the world. A week later, John and Miss Carter met again, at this time at a small community gathering organized in her honor. As she stood before the crowd, she spoke with the same quiet authority that had once filled her classroom. "We can't control how others treat us," she said, "but we can control how we respond. And when good people stand up, even just one ad changes everything." That day, Miss Carter's story became more than just a viral video. It became a mirror, showing what's broken, yes, but also what can be healed when humanity shows up. And as John later said in an interview, "I didn't do anything special. I just did what we all should do, treat each other like human beings." The story of Miss Carter and John Kennedy isn't just about a humiliating moment at a bank. It's about courage, empathy, and the power of standing up when silence would be easier. It's a reminder that dignity doesn't need defending when kindness takes the lead, and that sometimes one person's voice can restore someone else's faith in humanity. In a world too often divided by fear and judgment, their story is proof that light still finds its way, even in the most ordinary places.